Welcome to virtual Japan as we are here today for round number 6.
Oh, Pearson gets into the 95 of Bolts. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away we go for the first time. Nicholas Porcel, Sean.
It looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Doms, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now, as we've got three wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Go out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
Just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons.
Welcome back to the Detroit Racing SCCA Sim Series here at Mid-Ohio. The Detroit Region Sports Car Club of America, aka DRSCCA, has been providing the motorsports events since 1948. With over 1,400 members, there is no shortage of knowledge, history, and trailblazing ideas like this sim league. Thank you, participants and spectators, for being part of the augmentation and evolution of the region. The DRSCCA, of course, goes beyond the virtual realm. In 2024, we are hosting over 40 events over 60 days that you can get behind the wheel or so close to it that will blow your hair back. The gamut of behind-the-wheel events includes road racing, road rally, rallycross, autocross, and a competition driving school. Support the Detroit Grand Prix, Formula SAE, and Street Survival are also amazing opportunities to help future and professional drivers. Check out DRSCCA.org for more information. We also want to thank our sponsors. Of course, this league would not be possible without the support of the DRSCCA. Additionally, Waterford Hills Road Racing, Metro Detroit's only permanent sanctioned road course. Waterford Hills, located in Clarkston, Michigan, hosts a 6-weekend race series, competition driving school, and 9 public open track days. The track is hot from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on these event days and is open to the public. A nominal $5 entry fee is all it takes to get you close to the action. Check them out, waterfordhills.com, for details. Thank you as well to the Michigan Turn Marshals for their support as well. If you want to get close to the action, be sure to check out michiganturnmarshals.org. They can train you to support races like the Detroit Grand Prix. Additionally, want to give a shout out to Superlap, located on the world-renowned Woodward Avenue, Berkeley, Michigan. Superlap is a sim drive studio, a space to meet and compete. With professional-grade racing simulators, they are a premier racing and drive experience venue. They will help you achieve your motorsports goals with education, practice, and training. Maybe you're familiar with the world's most famous international Formula One series? Well, their best driver is a proponent of sim training and racing. If Max Verstappen uses a sim, shouldn't you? You can race and practice against an AI roster, go head-to-head with other humans, or both. They also offer league play just like the DRSCCA League. Go to superlap.world for more details. Welcome back, fans and friends, as we are at Mid-Ohio, round 2 of the Thursday night series. Looking forward to seeing what these drivers can do in the MX-5s. For the first time this season, my name is James East. On behalf of Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, bring the action 1080p, 60 frames a second, with our good friends over at the DRSCCA.org. Looking forward to another great action-packed night of these competitors. Let us know where you're from, who you're cheering on. On the YouTube side, the broadcast drivers will frequently have this pulled up, the show pulled up on a separate monitor device, and if they don't, they just about always go back and watch this thing over. Looks like qualifying is underway here tonight. Russell Soto in the top spot, a 137.39. Currently second in qualifying is Justin Hill, the number 48 machine. Now, this club-level layout of Mid-Ohio does present a few drafting opportunities for these drivers, but not a ton compared, especially when we're going to Road Atlanta next week. So it's going to be interesting to see what drivers are doing in this open qualifying session. Last I looked, we had 30 drivers coming out for today's main event. So a very, very busy field here at Mid-Ohio. We're checking in on Justin Hill at 48, seeing if he can whittle away that 1/10 advantage that Soto holds in the top qualifying spot. Soto matched his fastest lap time last time by. Looks like Hill is about 1/10 of a second off of his fastest lap. And something for the fans at home, something that maybe you're not familiar with on iRacing. If you have any incidents during the qualifying lap, for example, if Justin Hill dips those left tires a little bit too far off the racing surface as he dives into keyhole there, if you have a little bit of an off track or any car-to-car contact, it will invalidate that lap and you're going to have to do it all over again. So let's see. Let's pan a little bit further back as well. Michael Schmidt, the 129 machine. The baby blue and white number 129 trying to improve. He's currently 9th in qualifying as it stands. So Schmidt trying to put the hammer down. Looks like that's going to be a Whitlam-backed MX-5 as well. Jacob Mao with the number 28 machine comes down pit road, maybe going to grab some fresh tires here in qualifying. Now, before today's show, drivers were telling us they're a little apprehensive on what's going to happen in the opening lap here in Mid-Ohio, especially with cold tires. This is not a circuit that is known for a ton of mechanical grip, especially in these MX-5s, practically no downforce. And something I want to check out. So these are the most current iterations of the Mazda MX-5 these drivers are using tonight, matching the IMSA counterparts in the convertible. So they do have sequential shifters here tonight. So no H pattern for these guys, and gals, I should say. Schmidt holding on to the 9th place position with a 138.63. Looks like Justin Hill is going to have an off-track excursion here in qualifying. And takes a quick tow back down pit road. Andrew Gross also coming down pit road. There's David Grzinski, the number 75 machine, looking to put down his first time lap of the night. He will make it happen. Good enough to start 25th. Now we're about halfway through the qualifying session here tonight. And we're going to try and get something fixed for our race control. So that's going to be Scott Shakin running the technical side of the booth here tonight. As let's see, can Grzinski improve on that? Looks like it was going to be a 145 flat for his qualifying time. He needs to get down about to a 140. Will put you in about the middle of the field. Looks like first through 15th, within about a second and a half of each other in qualifying. Let's pull up that on the left side of your screen, so you can see where your favorite driver is currently at in the qualifying session. Soto, the number 50 machine, still on the top spot. He's been hungry for a win here at the virtual DRSCCA series. Looks like currently 27 drivers have put down a qualifying time here. Looks like 4 or 5 drivers still out on track trying to click off that qualifying time. Now, I believe the rule here tonight, I'm going to get confirmation, is everybody will make the grid. Yeah, getting a little bit of confirmation here. Looks like everybody's going to get to a race here tonight, even if they don't put down a qualifying time. So not too much pressure here for these drivers. Soto, your pole setter, is down pit road. He's going to roll back out on track here. And I'm trying to see who that here is behind Grzinski. Looks like Alejandro Della Torre. I was going to say out on track, almost off track there in the number 34 machine. He is on his out lap, so no pressure here. He's still got plenty of time to put down a couple of quick laps. Looks like Corey Gordner, Abdul Huda also out on track looking to put down their first qualifying times. It's a busy racetrack there behind Della Torre, so you're going to see a few drivers out on track trying to pick up a draft, get a tow from a friend. As right now, it is 31 drivers have put down qualifying times here, so this is going to be the first flying lap for Alejandro Della Torre as he heads under the bridge here in Mid-Ohio. Now, Della Torre does have drivers behind him, but he's got a little bit over 6 minutes to put down a fast lap time as he heads into Keyhole. The long kinked straight here before the bowl right-hander. So let's see what Della Torre can do. Della Torre. Oh, you can already hear the tires screaming in protest. What a great audio, and around goes Della Torre, losing the back end, just no grip to be found. And he will take a tow back to pit road. Now Soto got down to a 137.39. Hill still just a little shy of a tenth off the pace, as I think that's Megan Overstreet and her 044 machine just ahead. Yes, it is. Overstreet, a newcomer here to the virtual DRSCCA series. Now, Hill's got to be careful. If there's any contact with any other driver, it's going to invalidate that lap time, but he's in a tough spot here, getting stuck with traffic. Soto still sitting on the top spot. Paul Darling sitting in the third place position here for qualifying. Less than 5 minutes left to go. And then we will have a brief intermission before we send our drivers out on track for this feature event. And we're going to go 3 wide here in qualifying. Hill cannot afford to slow down here. He's got time for maybe 2 more laps. And it is all about bragging rights here on Thursday nights. Hill wants to come out strong and see if he can put that 48 ahead of Soto's 58 for the start. Now Hill still out on track with his original set of tires that he put on here. As we just saw Corey Gordner getting back out onto the track. Oh, a big blink there from Hill. So I wonder if that is going to be the strategy. Stay out, get the tires as hot as you possibly can, and qualifying also allows these drivers to drain the tank a little bit, get those cars just a little bit lighter. Now, we are running fixed setups here tonight, so everybody's on the same virtual equipment when it comes to on track, at least. They can have a little bit different hardware in their sim rigs at home, but all these Miatas the exact same setup, same weight, same everything. So we're keeping an eye out. Hill. A little over 2.5 minutes left to go here in qualifying. We've got 31 drivers that have put down a clean lap and gotten on the board here. Looks like 3, maybe 1 driver. I see Scott Shakin. He's registered as a racer, but I believe he's going to be our live steward here tonight. And you can just hear the tires screaming across the track here at Ohio. Really excited to see how turn 1's going to go. We've got Robert here cheering on Bob. Bob Cusera, the number 45 machine, currently 9th in qualifying, a solid qualifying within the top 10. And it looks like Hill's going to come down pit road. And I think that's going to be it for his qualifying run, so he's going to have to settle behind Soto. Now, is there anybody else out on track? As we watch Andrew Gross and the student driver back number 69 machine go for a little bit of a wild ride. There's Paul Darling in the 55, currently 3rd on the board. Just 0.02 of a second faster than Megan Overstreet in the 044. So let's see. Darling improves on his qualifying time, clicks it off to a 1:37.56, and look at the traffic up ahead for Paul Darling. Oh, makes contact. I think that was Golubuski in the 006. Yes, it was. Getting a hard shove from the 3rd place qualifier. Michael Schmidt sitting on the bubble inside the top 10. More hints of 3 wide action here. There's Schmidt's teammate behind. So qualifying is going to come to a close. The checkered flag is out. Now drivers will have the opportunity to finish their run here, as look at Michael Schmidt going for a wild ride. Able to keep it off the wall, but that's going to be the end of his qualifying. David Bauer and the Barbie back number 8 machine. A great sense of humor amongst these drivers on and off the track. Does David Bauer improve on a 1:37.75? Oh, excuse me, a 1:37.67. And no, unfortunately, is going to be the answer for Bauer. Todd Salmon, the number 25 machine. Currently sitting 23rd in qualifying. His fastest lap was a 1:39.71. So looks like 2 seconds separating 1st through 24th position here in qualifying. Looks like Salmon's gonna have a little bit of a bobble. Backs off the throttle. 32 drivers have been able to put down clean laps here. And it looks like that's going to do it here. I think the only drivers still left out on track, you've got Abdul Huda and Alejandro De La Torre. And that's going to do it here for qualifying at Mid-Ohio. We're going to have a brief intermission, then we're going to put them right back out on track for today's feature event. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more of the action here at the DRSCCA Thursday Night Series.
Oh,
Pearson gets into the 95 of Folks. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away we go for the first time. Nicholas Morcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Up now as we've got three wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Let's go out here for circuit disqualification. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
Just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
Smooth stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons.
Welcome back, race fans. Here, the DRSCCA Mid-Ohio Round 2 of the Miata Thursday Night Series. I'm accompanied by the world-famous Alex Delatorre joining me up in the booth. Alex, what you got going on this fine evening?
Oh, James, man, if I could tell you all the secrets that we've got planning for the upcoming series, I would have to do the proverbial death move on you. But I will tell you this. First of all, I want to shout out to Michigan Turn Marshals. They are our biggest supporters on YouTube. Love you guys, just like on the real track. You guys are out there watching us behind the scenes here as well. We've also been throwing down the gauntlet with the American Sedan guys. Obviously, we're doing a lot of spec races here with the spec racers and the spec Miatas. But any American Sedan guys that are watching from Waterford Hills all the way out to the West Coast, we are working on a series where we're probably going to be running the big bore Cadillac, and we want you guys out. This is fantastic. You all need to partake in it. Of course, we want to say thank you to Waterford Hills, one of our biggest supporters. We have the competition racing school starting next Saturday. Not too late to sign up for that. Check out waterfordhills.com. You can walk away with your permit, your novice permit, and complete three weekends successly. You'll get your full competition license. Also super geek that we got Super Lap here with us today, and Dan Cycle is actually racing with us of Super Lap. I think he might have some other people inside of the shop. In 3 races, we're going to be hosting a Tuesday night at his shop. So hopefully everybody watches the website for that. And last but not least, just thanks all the fans, everybody tuning in and making this a reality.
Well, Alex, always a pleasure having you up here. And you're right, a lot of love from the sponsors and fellow racers across the U.S. on Tuesday and Thursday nights with the virtual DRSCCA League. Now, you're talking about some bigger cars, some future season plans. Is that going to be an alternative night of the week, or is that just going to be something we have to wait and see when it comes out?
Well, we'll probably either do some mixed class stuff, or we're going to maybe move away from one of these 2 vehicles here. Obviously, this Mazda MX-5 Cup, everybody loves it. Such an easy car to drive compared to the Spec Racer Ford. Even though I will tell you, the guys that jumped in early with these leagues and have been running Tuesday nights with the Spec Racer, there's nothing but thanking us for teaching them how to run from one car to another and keeping the tracks the same throughout the week. Tell you what, this is a bit of a scientific experiment that I want to see how these guys improve on the real track come the beginning of the season. So variability in vehicles, variability in cars makes everybody a faster driver.
Yeah, hands down. And like you said, having drivers 2 race opportunities a week plus 2 practice sessions you guys are throwing together a week, that is a lot of virtual track time for relatively cheap to get things dialed in and then kind of reset and get ready for the next week. So yeah, very cool, giving these drivers a lot of opportunity to pick up some notes from competitors in the track alike and continually improving, which is what we're all about here.
Absolutely. Let's do this. It's time for me to go in there and see if I can come in something other than last.
All right, Alex, we're rooting for you and wishing you the best of luck out on track, my friend.
Thanks a lot, James. We'll talk to you later, bud.
Yes, sir. Thank you. That was Alejandro Delatorre, a.k.a. Alex, the head honcho here at the DRSCCA. But ladies and gentlemen, it is time to send them out for the main event. Starting on pole, you've got Mr. Russell Soto, the number 50 machine. Justin Hill starting second. Paul Darling starting third. Megan Overstreet in her Miata debut starting fourth. David Bauer starting fifth. Bryce Salmon starting sixth. David Moreno starting seventh. Christopher Murray starting eighth. Bob Cusera, he was getting some love from the fans earlier. He's going to be starting ninth. Sean Fritz starting 10th. Michael Schmidt starts 11th. Ryan Goff starting 12th, cycling on back. And we've got John Grimm starting 13th. Jacob Mowid starting 14th. Richard Scheib starting 15th. Logan McDonough starts 16th. Andrew Gross starting 17th. Devin Bach starting 18th. Chad Geidel starting 19th. Corey Gordner starting 20th. JP Duran starting 21st. Stephen Kahn starting 22nd. Tom Salmon starts 23rd. Garrett Smart starting 24th. Let's cycle it back one final time. Steven Scherzer starting 25th. Grant Walker starts 26th. David Grzinski starting 27th. Jonathan Edwards starts 28th. Eric Christensen starting 29th. Abdul Huda starting 30th. Todd Golubuski starting 31st. Alejandro De La Torre 32nd. Scott Chaikin starts 33rd. And Dan Cycle starting at the tail end there in 33rd. We are green flag racing and underway here at Mid-Ohio. Soto's going to lead the field, but it's going to be very busy from about second, third place back as Soto leads this massive pack into the keyhole. Look at the size of the grid here today. We have 32 drivers out on track. Dan Cycle unfortunately has to take a tow back down pit road. And we are bumping and grinding here as that was going to be Ryan Golf, Bob Kucera side by side, swapping a little bit of paint in these Spec Miatas. Soto up front, he's got about a quarter of a second over Justin Hill. And there's more side-by-side action. You've got Christopher Murray, Bryce Salmon battling for fifth. David Moreno and Megan Overstreet also side-by-side right behind. Now, it looks like a little bit of cloud coverage here in Mid-Ohio may help get a little bit of grip into the track. Now, drivers were talking about how treacherous the cold tires were out here tonight. But I've got to say, for how busy this field is, a very good start from these drivers. Have managed to avoid too much shenanigans and heartbreak on the opening lap. As I say that, Fritz got a little bit of a bump. Very narrowly tags it in to the safety barrier. And JP, finding himself pointing the wrong way around, the number 83 machine eventually takes a tow. We talked about Michael Schmidt earlier in the 129 machine, focusing on him in qualifying. He's trying to fend off Logan McDonough's 23. McDonough shoots up the inside through turn one, and it's going to be a drag race into Keyhole. Man, this is good wheel-to-wheel action here. Excuse me, the first chicane, as it looks like that is Michael Schmidt going for a wild ride, facing the spectators here at Ohio. Luckily, no other drivers really tied up in that. And you heard De La Torre. Oh my goodness, what just happened there? Andrew Gross, and I think that was Devin Box, having a bit of a moment there. Gross is off track, tries to rejoin, just crosses the bow. Devin Box, thankfully Box was able to keep it clean, pointing the right direction. But the elbows are out here at Mid-Ohio. We check in on Justin Hill. He's trying to fend off Paul Darling in the battle for third. Now, earlier this week at the DRSCCA Tuesday night series, the race was all but decided until the very end of it. Oh, and Bob Kucera is going to have some sort of moment. Let's see what happened to Kucera as he waits for a safe opportunity to join. Is that a solo incident? Yes, it was. Loses the back end of the 45. And I've got to say, this is probably one of my favorite parts about calling a series that is predominantly made up of real-world drivers is the racecraft and the very smart mentality we're seeing. As Jonathan Edwards, number 20 machine, on camera, he's our hard charger so far, up 10 positions in the number 20. Chad Geidel has issues in the 42. So I'm very impressed with what we're seeing. Drivers knowing when to give and take when trying to complete a pass, as well as waiting for a safe opportunity to rejoin. It's a bit of fresh air than what you can sometimes see on iRacing. As you're watching Murray, Salmon, Bryce Salmon, David Moreno battling hard for a top 5 spot. We go on the nose of David Moreno. Look at these Miatas dancing around here. And these guys are flinging these cars around. That's also allowing Megan Overstreet and her 044 machine to close back up. Overstreet is down 4 spots from where she qualified tonight. She got a podium in her debut on Tuesday night, looking to make it back-to-back here. But, man, that is a stacked field we have here this evening. 31 drivers still out on track, pushing very, very hard. Jonathan Edwards taking over the 20th spot from Tom Salmon. Michael Schmidt, the 129, he's had a little bit of tough luck here. And is trying to keep Steven Scherzer, the number 22, at bay. This is probably the most tire squeal I think I've ever called in any of my iRacing broadcasts. Chad Geidel losing the back end of the 42. I heard it just out of frame earlier and able to get the replay queued up. Let's go back up to the battle for the lead. Soto, Hill, Darling, separated by about a half second for these top 3 drivers. Can't quite tell if Darling... Oh, a big blink there from Hill. Maybe Darling sees the blinking of that 48 machine and goes, I don't want to quite get mixed up in this one. Going on the rear view camera of Russell Soto's number 50 machine. Soto qualified in the top spot, has led every lap here, but keep an eye out. Justin Hill just clicked off the fastest lap of the race as all 3 of these drivers absolutely throwing the car into turn 1. This looks like it's an absolute blast. David Bauer, the number 8 machine, kind of watching this battle in the top 3 unfold from about a second and a half back. Bauer hoping that these guys are going to slow down the pace a little bit, give him a chance to get back in the mix. Looks like Devin Box is going to pass Stephen Kahn for 17th. And looks like, my goodness, what a heated battle we have going on up here for 5th. You've got Christopher Murray, Bryce Salmon, David Moreno, Megan Overstreet. All nose to tail here. Murray trying to break away a little bit in that Waterford Hills back. Number 29 machine, Bryce Salmon with the 877. As Moreno and Overstreet glued on the back of that number 877. Moreno's the number 51, Overstreet the 044. The top 3 still separated by about a half second. You could throw a blanket over those top 3 drivers. Always a bunch of fun watching the DRSCCA competitors. Oh, Salmon getting a big run through turn 1. Is he going to try and stick a wheel in against Murray? Peeks to the inside line. Salmon's going to make the pass and make it clean. Now David Moreno's going to try and follow suit here. Not able to find an opening. That's going to leave Overstreet hunting for a chance. Gotta wonder if the top 3 drivers are saying, you know what, guys, let's just run the first half of this race and not push each other too hard. Continue breaking away from the rest of the field, because if we pan back up front, Soto, Hill, Darling staying glued in line here as David Bauer sits behind. We're watching our top 3 drivers, Soto, Hill, Darling. Still knows the tail. If we go back to Christopher Murray, has a bunch of people right behind him. Now something has happened to Garrett Smart in the number 7 machine. He was up 10 spots, had a little bit of an off-track excursion. Looks like Logan McDonough trying to catch up to Jacob Mowat as well. You've also got John Grimm sitting there in 10th in the number 24 machine. I've got to say, this is probably some of the most action-packed racing I've seen in quite a while through my hundreds of iRacing broadcasts. Now, if you're looking to get on the action, the DRSCCA Sim Series open Tuesday and Thursday nights, open to the general public as well. And those with a DRSCCA membership are eligible for the end-of-season prizes. So good to see some real-life drivers across multiple disciplines getting together and enjoying the racing. Up front, we're side-by-side, Hill and Soto. Hill takes the lunge up the inside right in front of the spectator Hill. Soto has to fall behind. That has put Paul Darling within striking distance of the number 50 machine as well. Now let's see, is Soto content running second, or is he going to immediately try and fire back against Hill in the 48? My goodness, the tire squelch we're getting from these drivers. Oh, looks like Paul Darling's going to try and line something up here through turn 1. Not quite able to get the opening he was looking for against Russell Soto. And that is allowing David Bauer in the number 8 machine to slowly catch up from behind. We've also got another crash report. Steven Scherzer has incidents here in the number 22 machine. Looks like it's going to be a solo incident. Yes, it is. Loses the back end, and around he goes. We're back up front. Darling hunting for an opening here against Soto. Soto wants to keep up in that second place. Does not want Justin Hill to break away. As we are side by side for second. Darling a little bit offline there as Soto defends, and that has put David Bauer right back within striking distance of a podium. Not even to the halfway mark of today's main event just quite yet. And these drivers are really going at it. If we go back to 6, Christopher Murray, the 29, he's trying to fend off against David Moreno and Megan Overstreet. Soto had a brief off-track as well, but Darling still stays behind. So all across the field, doesn't matter if it's the battle for first that we're seeing with Hill, Soto, Darling, and Bauer, or Christopher Murray holding on to this 6th place spot. Murray's only about 6/10 off the back of Bryce Salmon, the number 877, but Moreno and Overstreet looking for a little bit of redemption here tonight. As they head through the keyhole here in Mid-Ohio. Very tough corner, has 4 or 5 different patches of asphalt and concrete, at least it did before the repave, which is not yet reflected here on iRacing. So have to be very careful what line you commit to. I wonder what's going through the visor of David Bauer right now. Was a 2.5 behind. Suddenly a podium is a very real chance for the Barbie back number 8 machine. Fans have got to respect it. The self-awareness and confidence out of David Bauer with that livery. Oh, Bauer sees an opening against Darling. Took a look at it. The door was closed though. So look at Darling trying to defend against David Bauer. So I don't know how this is going to pan out for these drivers. They have about a 6-second gap over Bryce Salmon, who sits back in the top 5 spot, the final top 5 spot. We've got Javier Ramirez joining us. He's cheering on Russell Soto, sitting in second for that number 50 machine. I just heard somebody having some sort of incident, and around goes Russell Soto. Finds himself pointing the wrong direction here. And let's get the replay queued up on that one to see what happened to one of the odds-on favorites. Soto qualifying the top spot, so we're focusing on the number 50 machine. Lunges up the inside line and might have gotten to the back of Justin Hill. Let's see if we can get another angle of that one. Can't tell if contact was made there. We're on board Soto behind the race leader, Justin Hill. I think it's safe to say there might have been a little bit of contact there. So unfortunately, Soto is going to be outside the top 5. That's going to leave Justin Hill and Paul Darling to duke it out up front. And Hill got the better end of that one. He has pulled about a second gap over Darling and Bauer. Overstreet trying to fight back against Moreno. She's down 3 spots from where she originally qualified. We got flying by photo cheering on Chris Murray, who's out on track. Murray currently running in the top 5 in that number 29 machine. Trying to track down Bryce Salmon, but also getting chased by Moreno and Overstreet. And you're going to have a Russell Soto behind, driving the wheels off that number 50 machine to try and salvage some points here. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one pans out. No, I'm intrigued to see, can Paul Darling keep the pressure on Justin Hill in the battle for the lead? It's a 2-car breakaway there, 6 seconds up from the rest of the field here. Oh, we got another crash report. This time it's Jacob Moed in that number 28 machine, the green and red. Just misses the corner slightly. Car gets a little bit snapped loose, and at that point, he is just along for the ride. A perfect 360, though. Got to give him a little bit of points there for at least the style. Here we go, the battle for 4th. Bryce Salmon, Christopher Murray, David Moreno, Megan Overstreet. Just behind them, I saw Ryan Goff and John Grimm side by side. That's going to be the battle for 9th. Right now, hard charger out on track, though. That's going to be Garrett Smart, the number 7 machine. Qualified 24th, has worked his way all the way up to 13th, 11 spots. And look at this. Salmon, Moreno, Murray, Overstreet going at it here as Moreno gains the top 5 position. That's going to put Murray right in the crosshairs of Overstreet in the 044.
James, I got to say, I'm going to join you in the booth because I'm out of the race.
Well, welcome back, Delatorre. Not how we want to see you join the booth. I'd rather see you at the end of the race up here in the top 3, my friend.
It's all right. I'm still trying to figure out how to rewire this brain to work into the sim world. I don't want to just live off of trying to, help put together this series, but, be a customer as well. I'll get there one of these days.
Well, I believe in you. Now, Alex, it's been a wild race. We've seen lead changes. We've got battles all across the track here tonight, as I think we've got the broadcast preview pulled up for you as we're focusing on Justin Hill. Hill still has Darling right behind the number 55 machine, but Alex, I mean, you've got way more on-track experience here tonight than I did. I wasn't able to turn any during practice to join the racers, but what are the cars feeling like at this point of the race?
You know, they're feeling pretty true to the track itself. You know, adhesion surface. These vehicles, I've never driven an ND2 on the track itself. 6-speed gearbox, a whole lot more changes. You know, these guys are taking the keyhole in first gear, and most of the other corners are in second gear just to be able to get some out of corner speed. But that's what I fell prey to, was a little bit too much of that little bit of torque that you can get at the top end of second gear. And believe it or not, you can oversteer, you can power oversteer in these cars.
Now, I believe it seems like the cars are a lot more loose and free than they were in the past in the iRacing Sim. In Mid-Ohio, especially before the repave, not knowing for good mechanical adhesion out on the surface. I mean, it takes all day in the sun to really get some good temp. Have you been to Mid-Ohio since the repave?
I have not. The repave, I think, happened in the fall, if I'm not mistaken. And last year, I don't think I made it out to Mid-Ohio. A little bit of change of pace for me. However, you know, anytime somebody repaves a track, it gets faster. So that's what I'm looking forward to trying out and seeing it there. I will say, whether it be a Spec Miata or a Global MX-5 Cup car, these are very much kind of skating cars. You got to let them float across the surface, and you know, don't lose an inch of traction while you're out there, because that's what's gonna take you off the pace.
Yeah, it seems like everybody's so equally matched on pace here tonight. It's really count on the driver in front of you to have a little mistake. It seems like it's been tough for everybody to force the issue too much here tonight.
Yeah, it's kind of a waiting game. It's strategy. It's don't make a mistake, and it's knowing how to be patient and not battle yourself too much. As you know, you get the packs going out there, and let the packs run away with themselves before they start battling each other.
Yeah, it seems like that's been definitely been the call, especially for the top two drivers, Hill and Darling. We've seen a couple little prods here every now and then if we go back, you know, 5th place and further back, it is elbows out for these drivers. We're watching Christopher Murray, the number 29 machine, trying to catch back up to Bryce Salmon, David Moreno, who run 4th and 5th, but Overstreet and now Soto's joined this party, and we know for certain Soto's not going to give anybody a break as he continues that charge back up towards the front.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was transitioning over and missed what happened with Soto because he was doing a great job leading. But, you know, Justin Hilly, he definitely knows how to play the waiting game and learn from the driver in front of him. And man, I don't know. If you want to recap what happened with Soto, I'd love to hear it.
It was eerily similar to last week, Alex, where we saw Soto on Tuesday, where we saw Soto get into another driver under braking. It seems like Soto is driving right up on the bumper and putting himself maybe in the vortex of danger a little bit. And as you know, if you get these cars just a little bit unsettled when you're already on the ragged edge, it's a very quick way to break free of traction and send yourself sliding around. And unfortunately, that's exactly what we saw happen tonight. Soto on the brakes outside of his usual zone for that and upset the car too much, and now finds himself battling back through the field, holding on to the 8th place position.
Yeah, we gotta adapt to that, right?
Oh, and speaking of, Alex, that was David Moreno involved in a little bit of contact with Salmon, and off he goes. So let's see if I can get a replay queued up on that one. That is going to be Moreno and Salmon, a little bit of contact. So we've got it queued up. Moreno in the number 51 machine, Bryce Salmon, the 877, and looks like two drivers just trying to occupy the same space here.
Oh, that's too bad. Moreno definitely one of the hometown heroes, even though he's originally a Chicago guy, but he's part of the Detroit region now and knows Mid-Ohio very well. David Moreno actually won the Spec Miata regional or divisional driver of the year championship last year, so he'll make up the time. He'll get back up there, I hope.
Yeah, all about seat times. We've got a little, let's call it right at 5 minutes left to go. It's still Hill and Darling first and second, separated by about 0.3 of a second. And then really it seems to be all the action is fourth place back with Bryce Salmon leading this pack. And it's very tough for these drivers to get any sort of breakaway. We talked about it before the main event during the warm-up. 2 seconds is separating 25 drivers from first back, so everybody's very equally matched on pace, and it seems like the tires definitely starting to fall off. Most lap times are about a second slower than what they've done early on in the race, but looks like that battle for the lead's still going to continue even with these worn down tires.
Yep, that's they're going to have to learn the tire management, right? You get target fixated, you start pushing through corners, you're desperate for catching the guys in front of you. And, you know, if you don't manage your tires, you could be in the same pack with everybody you've been running the whole time and start losing it.
Yeah, and that's a tough spot for these drivers to be in as that's Abdul hops into the grass to avoid the top two drivers, and that has allowed Hill to take back over the race lead. 4 minutes left to go. We've only got 2, maybe 3 laps left in this main event, and I think right now Hill and Darling have realized, hey, we've got just about a 4-second advantage over the rest of the field. If we, even with the battle, I mean, they're going to try and break away, and I think this is their opportunity to really push each other and see what types of times they can put down.
Absolutely. They're going to come down to the wire. These two don't usually make a mistake, so they're going to keep on each other's tail. I don't know if anybody filled you in on who some of the drivers are that we've got out there right now, but Mr. Justin Hilly, actually, he does pronounce the E at the end of Hilly like I do Delatorre at the end of Delatorre. Justin won the national championship at Mid-Ohio, so this is his one track he's able to reign supreme at back in, I think it was 2016 or 17, and he's already got his sights on running the SCCA Super Tour there this summer, looking for another win in Spec Miata.
Yeah, that'll be super great. And yeah, it's my first time calling the action here for the Thursday night, so a lot of new faces for me up here in the broadcast booth, and always appreciate the inside scoop. Really cool for me to see the quote-unquote real-world drivers come over to the sim and vice versa, and getting a little bit of a cross-pollination going on here.
Absolutely, and you know, this is where it shows the benefits of running sim and running real life. You know, there's a good blend of drivers here. Megan Overstreet, for example, she's come over to run with us for a little bit because she's doing the competition driving school at Waterford Hills next month. So she's not set foot on a track. So this is going to be a very good litmus test to see how an iRacer adapts to road racing. I'm very excited to have her in school this year.
Yeah, that's going to be super cool.
She's in front of David Moreno right now, giving him a run for his money. You know, he's run this track several dozen times, and she hasn't run it yet, except in iRacing.
Yeah, it's iRacing does a good job simulating certain things. One of the tough parts for me comparing the two is the elevation changes. It's much like running a GoPro in the car. You guys at Waterford Hill, you can watch somebody hot lapping or running a time trial, but doesn't always show the transitions of elevation quite as clean. And then you get out on track for the first time and you know where you're at, but it's still a different kind of feeling.
Absolutely. I mean, we talk about feeling the car float. It's not just floating over a hill, but it's literally feeling the compression of the car itself. Floating over a curb, floating over on the drift, and it's like a feeling on its own. I mean, people love the Global MX-5 Cup car. I've had the opportunity to drive them, but not race them. I'd love to see some of these drivers. Justin Hilly would do phenomenal in the Global MX-5 Cup circuit. We got to do a GoFundMe for Justin so he can show up and represent Detroit region.
Now, Alex, that's a driver we need to get into the booth for an interview next week if we have the opportunity. It'd be super cool to talk about Hilly, especially as he continues battling fiercely with Paul Darling, the number 55 machine. They've been back and forth for the lead the last few laps, and this is the white flag lap for these drivers, and there's a little bit of traffic up on the horizon. We see him diving into the first chicane, so hopefully Darling and Hilly can catch these guys after the keyhole and have a bit of breathing room. But there's a blue flag in play, but a lot of these drivers are in a race for their own, looking for a top result here at the DRSCCA Thursday Night Series. So this is going to be a white knuckle ride here as we approach not quite to the back half of this lap.
No, I'm looking forward to see what they're going to do on the back side of this lap. And man, I always say when you come up on lap traffic, it's like going to the casino. You know, it's a big gamble. You never know which way somebody's going to go. It could go your way. It could go the house's way. So let's see who's going to pull it off. And we're going to have an opportunity to talk to Justin, hopefully.
Yes, the commentator curse almost in live timing. Hilly backing out the rear of the 48 machine. That's that ragged edge we were talking about. That's going to give Darling about a 9/10 advantage. But look who's worked back through the field. Russell Soto trading some paint with Christopher Murray. Now Bryson Salmon's going to get a piece of Murray as well. Overstreet kind of watching and waiting. This is her first time running the DRSCCA Miatas. And this is going to be a frantic battle for the top 5. Overstreet up into 6th, edges out Murray. He's lost 2-3 spots there, falling back to 7th. Soto's got to be watching this in the rear going, I am glad to be out of that one.
So much going on, right? That's the beauty of Spec Miata or Global MX5 Cup. There's races going on from the beginning to the rear of the pack.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. And it looks like the checkered flag is out. Paul Darling is going to pick up the win here at Ohio, with Justin Hilly in 2nd, and David Bauer will round out the top 3. What an action-packed night as these guys pull over, celebrate a little bit. But man, 32 drivers started this race here tonight. The biggest DRSCCA virtual grid I've called so far, and probably some of the best racing here tonight at Ohio.
Agreed. This was a blast to watch. You know, I also want to give a shout out to one of our unsung heroes, our steward in the background, Scott Shakin. He's observing to see how people are driving, because some of these people are going to be not only coming to school, but also driving out there in the real world. So if we can address some issues with back markers or over aggressive driving, we can do it now. Russell does a fantastic job at the drivers meeting, reminding people that just because this is iRacing, you shouldn't treat every driver with respect, as there could be physical, monetary, or even emotional damage. Drive as if any of those things could happen. And I'd give us an A- today on that type of driving out there.
Yeah, and before you joined us up here in the booth, that's something I commented on as well. It's not super often you see that mindset making its way to iRacing. So for me, it's very cool to see a bunch of real-world drivers, and they make real-world decisions out on the sim, which I am personally a huge fan of. It's a breath of fresh air, and kind of shows the mindset with a lot of these drivers, and shows why they're the top stuff out here.
Absolutely. Well, let me make room in the announcer's booth here, because you've got some people to interview.
Well, Alex, always a pleasure, bud. You're welcome up here anytime, and hope to have you back up here Tuesday night as well.
Thank you, and thank everybody, sponsors, and especially Russell for doing a great job with this.
Yes, always. That was Alex Della Torre joining us up here in the booth. We're going to try and get these drivers up here for a podium celebration. Looks like we're starting to get drivers up in the booth. We've got Paul joining us, and we're waiting on David Bauer to make his way up into the booth. And then we will get the podium celebration shenanigans started here at Mid-Ohio. But man, I've got to say, what a great race. What a great audience we've had join us here tonight. A lot of fun calling this one, as it looks like we're starting to get some drivers up here in the booth. Up front, Mr. David Bauer, the number 8 machine. David, we were a little bit apprehensive about the livery you ran here tonight, but man, did you make it happen in the Barbie back number 8.
Oh yeah, it's always fun to pass people in a Barbie car.
David, it looked like it was a ton of fun across the field here tonight. It wasn't often we could find anybody with a whole lot of clean track. What was your thoughts coming into tonight's main event?
Same as pretty much every Miata race. It's just about the race really doesn't start till the last 5 minutes, so it's about being there. And we kind of lost the draft, so fell back a bit and kind of just watched that battle for the lead unfold. But great job to those two.
Well, a lot of fun to watch. David, next week we go to Road Atlanta. What's the feelings about the track in Braselton, Georgia?
I love Road Atlanta. It's one of my favorites.
Well, you may stay since that is my home track. But, David, it's great having you up here, man. A great run for the number 8 machine. Before I let you go and unwind from this one, who do you want to give a shout-out to that helps make it happen?
Always got a shout-out to my dog for, all the hard work he does putting a roof over my head. And my girlfriend, because she's watching.
Awesome. David, thank you for your time, man. Good to have you up here in the top 3, and hope to have you back next week. That was David Bauer joining us in the third place position. Up next, we've got Mr. Justin Hilly joining us in second. Justin, Alex was in the booth earlier telling us about your Miata prowess, and man, did you and Darling put on a fantastic show here tonight.
Yeah, man, it was a great race. He had the pressure on the whole time, and Soto too. Who else was there? David Bauer. Yeah, it was great.
Now, Justin, I was talking to Alex about it, and he hasn't had much seat time at Mid-Ohio since the repave, and I haven't been there in several years. How does the new track surface compare to what we have in Sim that we're running tonight?
So I haven't done it yet. I haven't seen it yet, to be honest with you. I've heard that I've heard that the bumps out of the carousel now, it's pretty smooth, which is going to change the track like drastically. I mean, that was a characteristic thing. And I think the surface is a little bit more uniform now, which is going to change things for tire grip. So yeah, I'm interested to see what it's like. I think track records are probably going to fall this year, and I'm excited.
Now, Hilly, next week we go to a track kind of outside your normal area, Road Atlanta. I know you've probably got tons of seat time there in Sim. What's the feelings and how important is the draft going to play into the race next week?
Oh, it's huge. No, I don't think anybody's getting away. I see probably a front pack of 10 to 12 cars if the same people join. So I think it's going to be really good. I think it's going to require a lot of patience and strategy. It's going to be great. I can't wait.
Well, Justin, I know I'm looking forward to it as well. I know the fans are. I mean, you got, if tonight's any indication, it's going to be a great race. But before I let you go and unwind, a solid second place, and who would you like to give a shout out to that helps you put you up here in the top 3 this evening?
Most of all, my girlfriend, who was just sitting back in the corner and studying while I'm screwing off playing iRacing. A huge help. And my friends in the Midwest Spec Miata Circle Jerk. And yeah, I mean, just everybody who's helped me get to this point. The sim racing can be just as fun as real life. It's great.
Awesome, Justin. A pleasure having you up here. Hope to have you back up next week, and a great run tonight.
Thank you.
That was Justin Hilly bringing it home in second. But up next, the man, the myth, the legend, Paul Darling. Welcome to the top spot in the number 55 machine. You guys did not get a break here until the last 30 seconds, it seemed.
Yeah, that was a good scrap when it was turned into a 4-car battle there briefly, and I actually haven't watched it back. I'm not sure what happened to Soto, but once that happened and Justin and I were able to break away from David, was a fun scrap to the end.
A ton of fun, and Mid-Ohio, not a super draft heavy circuit, and we were talking to Hilly about that earlier. When we go to Road Atlanta next week, how much do you think that back straight is going to tighten up the field and make it a little bit more gnarly for you guys in the top 2, 3, 10, depending on the draft?
Oh yeah, the draft block in these things is absolutely insane. I think this is the only track you could almost escape someone with all the twists and turns. Any other track I think we go to, it's just you can't pull away from anyone behind you. So it's going to be hectic.
Going to be a lot of fun. Now, you guys are able to keep it relatively clean in the top 4. Is that from experience you guys have racing each other in real life and sim, or is that just a product of everybody's talent we were seeing out on track?
That might be a product of everyone having real-world racing experience. I haven't had the pleasure of racing these guys in real life. I think we all race different disciplines, but it's good to have an experienced group at the front that you can reliably race with.
And Paul, before I get to the final part of this interview, what is your on-track experience, and how does that relate to your iRacing racing?
Well, I've been iRacing for almost a decade and a half now. I made the transition 5 years ago to real world. Ran a bunch of SCCA stuff with a stock BRZ, and iRacing is pretty spot on for giving you a foundation to build from.
Well, awesome. Glad to see you put that foundation to work in Mid-Ohio. And now, my friend, you've got the privilege, the pleasure, the final send-offs of the night. Who do you want to give a shout to that helps make it happen for you in that 55 machine?
Oh man, I came unprepared. I guess I'll just shout out to you guys for doing the broadcast for us.
Well, awesome. Hey, short, sweet. Paul, we'll work on that for future races, buddy. We'll do some one-on-one coaching. Yeah, I'll work on the talking. You help me drive a little bit better. But, Paul, super cool having you up here in the top spot, my friend. Hopefully we have you up here a bunch throughout the season. Again, a great run, a great show you guys are able to put on here this evening.
Yeah, thank you very much. Hope you have a good night.
Thank you, sir. You as well. That was Paul Darling. Join us in the number 1 spot. He was accompanied by Mr. Justin Hilly and David Bauer rounding out the top 3. Thank you, as always, to the fans that came out tonight supporting the DRSCCA, Sim Racing Thursday Series. Also want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, Waterford Hills Racing, the Michigan Turn Marshals, and Superlap.World coming on board this season. My name has been James East with Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. Thank you all so much for spending your Thursday night with us, and we'll see you Tuesday as our DRSCCA virtual Spec Ford racers take on Road Atlanta. Have a great night, everybody.